Thanks again for joining, everyone. Good morning. My name is Clever McCory, and I am the Partner Relationship Manager at ByteSpeed. I'm joined here by Thomas Blade from Arctic Wolf. We're very excited today to sort of discuss how we can strengthen cybersecurity for K-12 schools with Arctic Wolf, our new partner in cybersecurity. So what you can expect for the discussion today is a brief introduction about ByteSpeed and the services that we offer, and then right away hopping into the rest of the discussion with Thomas here. Feel free to ask any questions throughout. We'll be watching the comment section or the question section, and we really want this to be an interactive discussion, so don't feel like you have to wait until the very end or that there's any question that maybe is out of bounds. We, by all means, will stop at any point in time to address any questions you may have. So I'll go ahead here and share my screen before we get started. And if you have any issues viewing that, just comment in the comment section, but we should be good here in a little while. All right. So ByteSpeed started off in 1999, and we do, since 1999, we've been building custom servers, desktops, and we still do that today. And those come with our 5-year warranty. That is actually extended to our esports lines as well, more recently. So you get the comfort of knowing that if you work with ByteSpeed, we're able to support our machines. And even after they're out of warranty, you can rely on us, call us at a single ring, get access to a help desk, and someone technical who can assist you right away. Now, over the years, we've added a variety of partners, all of whom are geared to address a variety of different concerns and needs, everything from infrastructure, networking. We've participated in E-Rate for well over 2 decades and have a large team of engineers that are very experienced and can help you with all kinds of infrastructure deployments, from bus Wi-Fi to switching, routing, access points, you name it. Or physical security, we partner with Fakada. But moving on to our newest partnership here with Arctic Wolf, we're really excited to add that to the portfolio of solutions we have for you all, and looking forward to the rest of the discussion here. So we'll have Thomas introduce himself right before we get into the rest of the discussion.
All right, awesome. Thanks, Clever. Thanks for the introduction, and thanks for the overview of ByteSpeed. It's been a great partnership so far, so I'm really excited to be here today. As Clever mentioned, my name is Thomas Blade. I am a senior solutions engineer with Arctic Wolf. And as Clever mentioned, any questions, feel free, drop them in the QA panel or in the chat panel, raise your hand, ask questions. Clever's going to go ahead and moderate that for me. And keep an eye out for any questions. So today I want to start off by kind of looking at cybersecurity, maybe from a little different angle than you have been in the past. I think traditionally we've all thought about cybersecurity as tools, having the right tools and software on our systems to keep us protected. And there's no shortage of tools, right? When we look at endpoint EDR or antivirus, or the firewalls we put in place, or the email filtering that we put in place. But we need to start to look beyond that. And Arctic Wolf takes the stance of switching from a tools mindset to an operational mindset. So first of all, we want to focus on outcomes. We want to make sure that we have a strong cybersecurity posture overall, and not just focus on the tools that we have in place.
Hey, Thomas, just real quick, try sharing and unsharing your screen just once more. Just want to make sure that's clearly visible just before we hop into the rest of the discussion here. Perfect.
Sure. Is that all right?
Yeah, that looks good.
Great. Okay, we also want to make sure that we are layering over the tools that we have in place. We want to utilize those existing cybersecurity investments, but we want to have visibility into the entire environment. And I'll talk more about that, but that's really what Arctic Wolf is here to deliver when I talk about an operational viewpoint. And then lastly, I think it's no secret that bad actors choose to operate when they think we're not watching. So it's important to build resilience and have a true 24/7 approach when we look at cybersecurity. And we'll talk more about that today as well. So why Arctic Wolf? I've got about a dozen viewpoints or bullet points rather here on the screen for reasons that Arctic Wolf and cybersecurity as a whole is really important. And maybe one or two of these might stand out to each one of you. Some of the larger ones here, maybe you've experienced an incident or a breach, or perhaps you know of a neighboring organization or district that has been hit with an incident or a cybersecurity breach. One of the other big ones that we work with a lot when we talk to school districts is they may not have security specific resources. Or better yet, we have IT and we have security resources, but we also wear about a dozen other hats in the space. So we're constrained by all the other things that we have to do, where we might not have a chance to look at security data. We might only take a look at logs when there is an incident. Maybe we have more of an outdated or legacy tool and mindset that we want to look to overhaul. There's a number of other factors that are emerging more and more in the landscape, such as the need for cyber insurance and the requirements that come along with cyber insurance. It used to be really easy to get it, maybe not so much for some anymore, as cyber insurance vendors are requiring more and more components be in place, such as the need for a security operations center. A little bit about Arctic Wolf. We are based right smack dab in the middle of all of you here in Minnesota, our headquarters in Eden Prairie, as well as facilities for security operations across the continent in Waterloo, Canada, San Antonio, Texas, and Provo, Utah. Arctic Wolf employs over 600 security analysts and over 500 research and development, including software engineering. Combined, there's about 2,500 of us across the planet, but again, based right here in Minnesota. So what is security operations? Well, we look at it as a security operations cloud-based platform. What this really means to you is having a place, a unified location to bring all of the security information from your environment into one place. Whether it be data from endpoints, network, cloud services, identity, applications, all the way down to individual people or humans. We'll talk about that as well. It's on top of this platform that we look to deliver two key concepts. One, concierge delivery, putting people in the position to help you. Not only people to do the 24/7 security research and work, but also people to deliver on the other half, the security journey. The concierge security team at Arctic Wolf dedicated to each one of our customers to help them not only block and tackle day to day, but focus on improving their security posture, leveling up security, pushing that security ball up the hill. Maybe there hasn't been an incident. Fantastic. What can we do to ensure that that is consistent? What can we do to ensure that we're continually getting better with security? It's also on top of this platform that we deliver our 4 key services. 2 of these I'm going to be focusing on today. The first is managed detection and response. This is your 24/7. This is your security operations center. This is having people watch day in, day out, looking for things that go bump in the night, taking action, and taking control of the situation. Next to that, we also deliver a proactive solution known as managed risk. This is ongoing vulnerability scanning throughout your entire environment. The goal here is to find a weakness, a vulnerability, a gap in cybersecurity posture and fix it before a bad actor may take advantage of that. As I mentioned earlier, moving more towards the human side of the equation, we also deliver managed security awareness. This is made up of two main components. One is your ongoing phishing simulations. The other is security awareness training, creating content and delivering it to your end users to help them be aware of what's happening out in the world, out in the cybersecurity landscape, and how to foster a security culture or security mindset. And the last service on the right there of the screen is incident response. This is available to anyone and everyone. If you're not an Arctic Wolf customer and you're having that worst week of your life in the middle of an incident, we are the people you can call. And I'll show you what that looks like here in just a little bit. It is with this platform, this cloud-based platform, that we are able to offer security operations at scale. It's how we're able to process trillions of log events on a weekly basis. It's how we're able to integrate with over 80 different security products, many of which are in your environment. But most importantly, it's how we're able to provide precision, how we're able to ensure that on average, you're probably only hearing from us once a day or once a week. It's how we're able to ensure that you are only getting true positives. You're not getting incidents that are false positives. You're not getting tickets that are unactionable. And lastly, it's that one single view into everything security related for your environment. Whether it's on-premise, endpoint, cloud-based services, this is a look into all of those from one. Okay, so let's get into how we can actually work within your environment and what you can expect when an incident were to occur, or if an incident were to occur. We're going to take a look at Arctic Wolf's managed detection and response in action against a BEC, or business email compromise attack. Little background here for you. What is a business email compromise? I think it's pretty self-explanatory in the title, but it's when your email account is taken over by an unauthorized user or bad actor. This is one of the largest incident types that we see here at Arctic Wolf. In our incident response case count last year, over 29% of these were rooted in BEC, or business email compromise. Business email compromise is one of the easiest to execute scams that an attacker or bad actor can leverage. Maybe some of you have already seen what these emails look like. Sending out an email, maybe it's an email with a link to download a file. Maybe it's a link to click in and log into a service that might be fraudulent. Capturing those credentials and then using those credentials to turn around and log into your email account. BEC scams work. You may not have been directly impacted by a BEC personally, but there's a good chance that you've been on or been in close proximity to someone who has. Maybe you've gotten a suspicious email from a trusted source, and you went ahead and reported or called them up and said, "Hey, I think you've been compromised." These are even prevalent in our personal lives as well. And it's not just rooted in email only. This can come in many different ways. How many have gotten a text message from FedEx or UPS saying, "Hey, your package is delayed. I need you to log in here to go ahead and claim that package"? Well, by logging in, you've given them an email address and a password. They're going to try to use that against something like your district or your business email. Education and nonprofit are one of the top 5 industry verticals that are being targeted by by this attack type. So enough of the statistics. Let's look at how this actually breaks down in a real world example. We start off here at 12:57. A bad actor has stolen someone's credentials, probably through a phishing attack. Maybe they found some passwords out on the dark web, and they've gained access to an email account. Now, interesting enough in this example, this email account had multi-factor enabled. And if you're not familiar, multi-factor is that second credential that you enter in when you go ahead and log into your email account. Maybe it's a text message, maybe it's an app or a notification on your phone. Well, that didn't stop the bad actor in this particular example, because all they did was repeatedly prompt the user to accept that login. The end user, not knowing what was happening, got fed up with the notifications and hit accept. This allows the attacker to gain access to the account. Now, I've been doing this for a little over 5 years here at Arctic Wolf, and I found that these attacks have evolved. It's not just enough to log into that email account and maybe take things. It's now about, how do I propagate? How do I use this access to this email account to gain access to more accounts? And in this particular example, only minutes after that initial login, the attacker is trying to propagate their access. They're doing two things here that are interesting. One is they are going ahead and opening up calendar invites or calendar events, and they're making changes. And they're going ahead and adding a forwarding rule to the email account. Now, that forwarding rule can be used a few different ways. How many times have you been on a website where it says forgot password and send me an email with that password link? Well, if the bad actor has set up a forwarding rule in your email account and tries to reset a password to something else, that email's coming to them. That calendar invite or calendar event update is really interesting as well. In this particular example, at 1:22 p.m., the attacker has put a PDF into cloud storage of this account. That PDF is laced with phishing links. Their goal here is now to marry that up with the calendar event. So if there was a calendar event coming up, maybe for a week in advance, and I got an update from the original creator of the event with a link and a file to download, well, I'm probably going to trust that person. I have no reason not to believe that that's not real. The screen looks a little funny here, and that's just simply because Arctic Wolf is monitoring every step of the way. At 12:57, we see that login. In fact, we see those multiple multi-factor glitches. We also find that they're making changes to email forwarding rules. This prompts an immediate investigation within the Arctic Wolf Security Operations Center. Again, tools are in place. Tools have not done enough here. Multi-factor was compromised. Email security was compromised. Arctic Wolf Security Operations takes this information and says, well, we need to find out what's happening here. Why is this forwarding rule being added? Why were there multi-factor prompts being pushed? We're now operating lockstep with an attacker. This isn't hours or days after an incident. This is in real time. And in fact, at 1:25 p.m., we've confirmed that this is not expected behavior based on all the investigation that was taking place. We've contacted the end user and we've disabled the account. Prevent any potential future damage, to lock out the attacker, to secure or mitigate the situation. We've disabled the account, and now we're on the phone with the end user, with the customer. Walk them through remediation. This is really important. It's not enough to reset a password in this case. It's also, well, what may have been done inside the account? What do we need to unwind from here? Well, we certainly need to remove that forwarding rule. We need to delete the PDF that was added into cloud storage. And maybe we need to review our security practices and policies to find out, Well, how did this happen and how can we make sure this doesn't happen again? Again, I told you earlier that it's important to focus on how we improve, how we continually improve cybersecurity. It's not enough to simply block and tackle this situation, but also to make sure that it doesn't happen again. All right, let's go ahead and talk a little bit more about Arctic Wolf incident response. I'm going to share with you another example of what happens if, again, you're having that worst day of the week, worst week of the year. What do you do in the case of an incident? Who do you call? And what actually takes place during incident response? So on my screen here is a timeline starting at 2:14 a.m. As I mentioned earlier, attackers choose this as the time to take action when they think we're not watching. So at 2:14 a.m., an organization receives a ransom note. Ransom note is plastered on their desktop, it's plastered on their wallpaper, it's sent to them via email. All their files have been encrypted. It explains that their data has been stolen, their servers and applications are no longer functioning. The organization in question takes this as an opportunity to immediately contact Arctic Wolf. There's a big flashing button on our webpage that says experienced a breach. Pretty soon there'll be one of those on the ByteSpeed website as well. Arctic Wolf incident response operates on a 1-hour turnaround. By 2:22, so well in advance of an hour, the IR team at Arctic Wolf receives the notification, contacts the organization. We talk about initial containment, and we put together a plan. We tell them exactly what we're going to do in a statement of work that explains how we are going to assist in this, what we're going to do to remediate the situation, and how we are going to handle the threat actors. Between 2:50 and 3:50 a.m., that statement of work is provided to the client. When Arctic Wolf's IR team gets involved, we immediately discover the 3 SQL servers that have been impacted. Before we can go any further here, we focus on containment. Are there backups in place? Fantastic. We are going to segment those backups, meaning we are not going to allow any other systems on the network to access those backups because we will be needing those. Next, we focus on limiting inbound and outbound traffic, making sure that if the organization environment is still online, that we are not allowing access to certain areas of the network via the internet. We're also going to disable the broad number of VPN accounts that might be in use. Again, ensuring that we are limiting access to the environment, that we are containing the situation. Alongside the containment actions, we're also deploying immediate incident response for endpoint, network, and cloud services. We need to understand if a bad actor is still in the environment, we want to find them. We also want to ensure that we are defending our endpoints and our servers in the organization from any future attack. Like I said, we've discovered 3 SQL servers have been impacted. We need to ensure that the rest of the environment does not have the same incident occur. This allows us to remove all the additional malware that's been found. And it's also at this time that we start our root cause analysis. Again, we've mitigated the situation, we've contained it, we know our backup and recovery strategy. We start going through the log data of this incident and understanding how did the bad actor gain access. Well, we find out that an employee accidentally clicked on a malicious email attachment. That email attachment allowed the bad actor to gain access to the network and gain access via remote desktop to the domain controller. From there, they were able to pivot their attack into unpatched SQL servers and ultimately execute their malware, encrypting data on the servers. The very next morning, 8:05 a.m., only 6 or 7 hours after the attack began, we start focusing on restoration and remediation. We know we've eliminated the malware on the systems. We know we've got our segmented backups, and we've removed any remote access into the environment. We start off by rebuilding the compromised domain controller, the SQL servers, and then start replaying the backups that have been contained, replaying those backups against the servers. This allows us to remove the threat actor's persistent access into the environment and start to get applications and services back online. It's at this time that we start discussing what we're going to do in regards to the threat actors. If you remember, the threat actors also said, not only is your data encrypted, but we have stolen your data. Now, this is a very common tactic in ransomware. The threat actor has planned to not only steal data, but encrypt data, knowing that if you choose not to pay a ransom, they still have a copy of that data. Now, when we start talking with threat actors, oftentimes they actually provide a little bit of a customer service portal, if you will, a place to chat with them or communicate with the threat actors because they want their money. So they're going to give you the chance to communicate with them. Now, alongside the Arctic Wolf incident response team, we're also engaging with the customer in any legal representation. We contact the threat actor and we start to get access to the data that they've stolen. They give us a little sneak peek, a little preview to the data to let us know that they're serious. Now, in this particular example, the customer and the legal representation started to review the data that was stolen. Now, the data is sensitive in this case, but because we were able to get the systems back online, the customer and their legal counsel decide that they're not going to pay the ransom. We don't need you to decrypt our data. We've recovered that ourselves. They've reviewed the data that was stolen, and they start to take measures in terms of how they're going to respond rather than paying out. So it's at this point that we are only less than 24 hours removed from the incident. All systems are back online. In those following days, additional forensics and analysis are done to provide an in-depth summary to the entire organization's leadership to explain exactly how the incident occurred, what data and systems were compromised or impacted, and most importantly, what are we going to do to ensure this can't happen again? So this is why that detailed investigation is so important. Being able to point to a root cause ensures that we know how to correct this in the future. So what are those ways to move forward? What are the takeaways from this situation? These are ones that any one of you can take advantage of right now. Focus on security awareness training. I mentioned Arctic Wolf offers this. Maybe it's just a conversation with end users as well, letting them know this is what's happening in the wild. If you are going to take advantage of Arctic Wolf's training, know that it is 100% fresh micro-learning sessions. I know that your end users are not going to sit through long security presentations. But if I can provide them with short content that's engaging and fresh, I know that I can get their attention, they can retain that data, and they can move on with their day. We also want to make sure that we're fostering a security culture. We want people to be comfortable reporting phishing emails or attacks. I'm sure everyone on this call would much rather have an end user call them or forward them an email and saying, hey, is this legitimate? Rather than just clicking on a link and getting that compromise. Call first, ask those questions. This is what we call the human firewall. And it's one of the strongest measures we have against business email compromise or phishing or ransomware attacks. And finally, develop an incident response plan. This might be just a plan that you have of attack to say, hey, if there's an incident, we know what we're going to do. Maybe you need assistance with this. Arctic Wolf and ByteSpeed are here to help. I'll talk more in just a moment about what that looks like as well, but making sure that we have a clear plan for how we respond to security incidents. And let's make sure it's fresh. Let's review it on a regular basis. Can't tell you how many folks I've talked to in the past. I say, do you have an incident response plan? Yeah. Where is it? It's on the server. Okay. Well, what happens if the server is encrypted? How do you get access to that? Well, I haven't thought about that. Or someone will say, well, it's written down. Okay, well, when's the last time it was updated? Well, it has been updated. We wrote it a couple of years ago. So making sure we have a plan, that it's fresh, that it's accessible, is key. This is, again, where Arctic Wolf can come in and help. Arctic Wolf and ByteSpeed offer the IR Jumpstart Retainer, enabling Arctic Wolf and our IR services to be available to you within that 1 hour response time in the event of an incident, day or night. You saw the example that was 2 o'clock in the morning. You got someone from Arctic Wolf within 8 minutes in that example. Arctic Wolf's IR teams are completely insurance approved. We offer IR planning resources. This is putting together that plan in advance of an incident. Just having that Jumpstart retainer, knowing that we have a plan. We also provide preferred pricing and cost certainty in the event of needing to invoke the retainer. And regardless of incident type, Arctic Wolf has incident response specific run books, so we know what to do. Is it a business email compromise attack? Is it a Google attack? Is it our servers are encrypted? Is our desktops are encrypted? Is it someone is trying to steal money? Is it someone who has access to some information systems? Whatever those types of attacks are, Arctic Wolf knows how to respond. So I want to thank you all this morning for taking the time to listen. It's been a lot of fun working with ByteSpeed team. So if you are interested in learning more, feel free to reach out to the ByteSpeed team. We're happy to sit down and have conversations, just discuss what cybersecurity might look like for you and your district. I'm going to go ahead and stop the screen share here. And Clever, if there are any questions or anyone who's got the Q&A out there, feel free, drop those in. Happy to take questions for the next couple of minutes.
Absolutely. Thank you, Thomas. We appreciate it. So this moment, if you've got any questions, just throw them into the chat and we'll go from there. One thing I would like to outline is we work very closely with Thomas and the rest of the Arctic Wolf team. So if you ever wanted to dive into any one of their plans or products and wanting to ask some specific questions, it's very easy to get them on a call right away. They're very helpful. We have nothing but good things to say. Maybe, Thomas, could you say a couple things about which particular solutions you're finding schools to specialize in or find the most value in? And yeah, I do have another question that just came in, but go ahead.
Sure. The two that I spoke about today are the ones that I've had the most conversations with K-12 districts. If you're not familiar, in Minnesota, where I'm based out of, there's been a couple of major school districts that have been impacted by a cybersecurity incident. That caused a lot of conversation amongst neighboring districts who don't want that to happen to them. And I think a lot of that is because, of course, districts communicate, right? They're part of organizations, they're part of peer groups, so they understand sort of what that situation looked like, and they know that they don't want to be a part of that. So managed detection and response is a really common conversation that I have with districts, just understanding how can we start monitoring for any types of attacks? How can we focus on being proactive? The other one, that incident response jumpstart, just knowing that we have a plan in place and that in the event of an incident, there's someone you can call immediately. it's labeled as a retainer, but it's not your traditional retainer where thousands and thousands of dollars are being put into this bucket that if you don't lose or use it, you lose it. It's a very low cost option instead to, again, get that plan in place, retain the ability to contact Arctic Wolf and ByteSpeed in the event of it.
That sounds fantastic. A question came through asking if we'll send the recording out. We absolutely will. Every registrant and attendee will get a copy of the recording as well, just to share with other folks in the district if you think it would benefit them too. Maybe another question for you here, Thomas. I know folks are having discussions maybe with other vendors and looking at different solutions, as they research and try to find the best fit for them. And I know you addressed this earlier, but just to solidify it for everybody, what are maybe the couple biggest ticket items that you think set Arctic Wolf apart from the rest of the pack, so to speak? No pun intended.
The biggest one I would say is our ability to work right alongside Clever and team at ByteSpeed. This partnership enables us to have that sort of, call it a 1-2 punch, if you will, by bringing the ByteSpeed services and cybersecurity together. So you kind of have that kind of one-stop shop, right, when it comes to who you want to work with. The other item that I'll bring up, and I mentioned this earlier, is the Arctic Wolf Concierge Security team. There are plenty of options out there for monitoring your endpoint. And I imagine if you've done any research, you may have gotten a little overwhelmed because a lot of folks are saying things like, yeah, we'll do 24/7 monitoring, detect business email compromise. And that's fantastic. But the concierge security offering that we bring to the table with the security journey means that we're not just here to block and tackle. Okay? That's obviously very important, but again, how are we learning from an incident? How are we improving your environmental security? If there hasn't been an incident in a week or two or a month, great. Well, what other areas of focus should there be? Is it maybe a network perimeter security upgrade? Is it maybe diving a little deeper into that Chrome OS configuration that you have to say, well, what checkboxes should we be checking, right? What configuration changes might be beneficial, again, in our overall security posture? And again, that's something that every Arctic Wolf customer gets to benefit from.
That's awesome. Well, we want to be respectful of everybody's time. Just wanted to give you a couple minutes here to get some questions in. But thank you, everyone, again for joining. We very much appreciate you sacrificing some of your time today for the discussion. Let us know if there's any follow-up questions that may come up. Would be more than glad to assist you. Thanks again. Have a wonderful day, everyone.